for joining us today for our Living Plus cooking moment. Today we are going to be doing something really great for the fall season, but our chef Rocky here today is also going to give us other tips on ways that we can do various things with these ingredients.
And super easy cheats, like you don't have to clean your celery, just buy this. I think this was like $2 or $3. This was $1.70 for 1 pound of baby carrots. You don't have to peel them. Actually, you probably don't even have to cut them. We got the sage, and a lot of people don't know that a lot of average knives, you're not supposed to cut through hard rooted vegetables. A lot of times people will do stuff like this or like that, and it'll actually bend the tip or the edge of the blade, bend the blade, or actually snap the blade if it's like a $20 blade. So super easy. They have these in butternut and in sweet potato.
And that's what we're doing today, making a butternut squash soup.
We're gonna make a great butternut squash soup, but on this half, we have basic soup ingredients, okay? Over here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this in the oven. A lot of people like saute it on the stove, but it doesn't bring out the dark brown colors, which bring out a lot of the natural oils and sweetness is important in a soup like this. If you roast it with mirepoix, which is 50% onion, 25% carrot, and 25% celery, you put all that in the oven together and roast it. It actually brings out all the natural colors and flavors, and it's beautiful. And some people, it turns your soup a little bit more dark, and some people like it a lot more bright and stuff like that, but you can add like mushed up carrots at the end or a little cream to brighten up the color. Now, these we're just doing a rough chop on. It doesn't really matter how big or how small. Everything's gonna be roasted in the oven, or you could actually, what I do sometimes is I boil these softer vegetables in the chicken broth, which we have, and then we have the sage. This is really good for like tomato soups, like chicken vegetable, chicken noodle, all this side. We were talking earlier about you should add acid to just about everything. I mean, even salad dressings, even anything I can really think of has some kind of acid in it. The sweeter you want, like you can get apple cider, which adds sweetness. This adds a little like tart but sweet. It's not too much. It's rice vinegar. It also is a very light color, so it doesn't impair the color of any soups. Again, another cheat, I've talked about this many times, pre-cut garlic. A lot of people don't like to cut garlic, and actually a lot of people don't understand it's dangerous to cut garlic. It's very sticky. So when you're cutting it and you go to go like this, sometimes people cut their fingers. Some people try to wipe it off like this and cut their finger on their blade. So why do it? Just get this. This side is more for a base of a soup. This side is more specifically for butternut squash soup. So like I said before, you don't really have to cut your vegetables any certain way, because we're gonna put it all in the oven and roast it or boil it. It is 50% onion, so I do recommend using a little bit more onion than normal. It will not taste oniony because of the mirepoix. The celery makes a little bit more depth of flavor, and the carrots add a little bit more sweetness. So that'll even out the onion.
I think I remember as a kid, celery was a staple. I don't know if there was ever a soup in the house that didn't have celery in it.
Yes.
Because of the flavor that it gives off, the different texture that it gives off.
And we're actually using toasted pepitas, pumpkin seeds, to top it. It seems insignificant, but it really adds a really nice pop. And a lot of people don't understand texture. Like when they're cooking, they don't, texture, they think of creamy and they don't think of like snappy, like crunchy, dry. Sometimes I like to put like little pieces of celery on top, and it adds like a little like burst of like almost like water almost. And as of everything else, you can play with whatever you want. I know some people who actually make a savory butternut squash. Not my thing, but some people like it, and all you have to do really is put a little maple syrup on top if you want to make it sweet anyways. So, as you can see, as usual, I try to keep the cutting to a minimum. Really, the only tricky part will be cutting the herbs here, but I'm going to show you a nice cheat for that too. So, you just take the sage. We don't need much. Actually, this is probably a little bit too much. Let's say 3 pieces for like 2 pounds of soup. So you just take them off, you lay them on top of each other. This is just like it's called chiffonade, just like chiffonade of basil. You roll it up like this. And then you do little chiffonade. It's called chiffonade. It's supposed to be as thin as a human's hair, right? Now, of course, it's not going to be like that. We're not trying to cook for anybody special except for ourselves. So then you just turn it, and that's it.
Kind of mince it up nice and small.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody doesn't have the fresh sage, they can use dried, correct?
They can, and you really have to be. I don't really like to use dry because it's a surprise. It's a gamble every time. Depending on how old it is, it depends on how strong it is. And some dry herbs are like 4 or 5 times stronger than fresh. So you really have to be careful.
Okay, so the idea with that is start out very minimal in terms of what you're using, and if you're following a recipe, even use less than what they're asking for and taste along the way.
And with herbs, really honestly, a lot of times you don't really need to cook with them. Some, it's beneficial to get the essential oils out, but things like sage and stuff like that, it's such a delicate plant. Now, rosemary is a different story. You probably have to cook with rosemary, but
That is a powerful one.
it's a powerful one. In North Carolina, it grows everywhere. Just go ask your neighbor if they have one. But I would take maybe 1 swig or stick, grab it where it's not, like, let's say 1 notch down, 2 notches down, where it's not so weak. And all you do is you make a little circle with your 3 fingers. Done.
You make it look really easy. I'll bet you mine didn't.
I've done it 1 or 2 times. And then again, it's not rocket science. We don't want to make it super fine. It doesn't really matter. It's with this herb, it might get stuck in your teeth a little bit. So if there's any bigger pieces, you might want to just get them down a little bit. But like I said, just if you see a big piece, just take it out, throw it away. You know, you don't have to spend 5-10 minutes on just cutting your herbs. A lot of people are like, oh well, I'll just sprinkle some dry herbs on it, which is fine, and it's probably not going to make a huge difference. But when you start making it again and again and again and again, several times in 1 year, you want to start making it better and better. So what can make soups better? Fresher ingredients. So I usually don't even have any dry herbs or anything in my house, but I have a garden in the back anyway, so I'm a cheater anyways. So that's done. Look, the big piece, throw it away. So what we're gonna do now is, I already have the butternut squash in the oven. I have some carrots and celery boiling in the chicken broth. So we're just gonna go over there, gonna throw all this in the oven, get it nice and brown, and then it's as easy as throwing it all in a big pot. And you don't wanna have all the chicken broth in there or vegetable broth in there at once, because you don't know, it might be too runny. So I have, you probably see it, I have chicken broth on the side boiling, or not, at a very low simmer already, and then I have the carrots and celery and onions in that pot boiling a little bit.
And did you use about a quart of the chicken broth?
I used about 2 quarts. I used 2 quarts.
Okay.
And we'll meet you over there. Okay, so here I have a little bit of chicken broth, right? Because I said we don't want to make it too thin, right? So I got full baby carrots in here, and I'm dumping all the celery and the onions in there. Okay, and then here's the sage. Look at this. You don't even have to dirty any dishes to bring it over here. And here's the rosemary. Okay, so we're just gonna let this boil a little bit. Get it until the onions are a little bit translucent. And then I'm gonna pull the vegetables out of the oven when they're nice and brown on top. No need to even stir them around or anything. It's not that big of a deal. We're just gonna get them nice and brown on top. Throw that in. Throw this in here. If you run out of this, just use a little water. I don't suggest using bouillon cubes at all because you don't know what's in there, and a lot of times they'll use no sodium, which means no flavor in those dry things. So, in about 10 minutes, this will be ready, and then I'll take this out, and all the timing should be perfect, and then we'll blend it. Okay, this place smells amazing. I already took out the papitas. Let's give you a good look at those first. At the pumpkin seeds. Some of these are a little too dark, but I think, I'm not going to mention anybody's name, but they're going to take care of it for us. But literally this is, I want to say, 2 minutes in the oven. But that's a garnish, so that's going to go at the end. And then we'll show you what we mean by nice and golden brown on the, look at that.
And you could just smell it. If there was
So,
a way you could smell it.
Yes.
Amazing.
So this is going in here. But I just wanted you to reiterate, look at all, you can see at the edges where there's like this, that's the sweetness that's coming off, right? And I'm a classical French nut, so I use these slit pads. Look at underneath, you don't have to clean anything. So it's less dishes. Oh, that smells so good. So what I'm gonna do is take a nice spatula like this. Look, boom, easy, right? And then when you get it at the end, you can just scoop like that. There's no hurry. I like to take my time a little bit more because at home, there's less cleanup, right? At works, I know some people are just like going like this, going so fast, and then you have to spend 10, 20 minutes cleaning at the end of the night.
And for safety, if somebody isn't as sturdy and as strong holding up the pan, they could dish it off into a bowl to start with, and
right
then have
here.
someone else hold the bowl to get it on over there, so they're not holding anything hot if necessary.
Yeah, and then because I use, it's called a slip mat. No dishes. So we got that in. I took my rice wine vinegar. Now, I only let it splash because it's got this top on it, and I literally just went like this. Okay, like that. One little squeeze of garlic, depending on how much you like garlic. You can negate this actually if you don't like garlic or are sensitive to garlic, or heartburn problems or anything like that. You can just totally negate that. It doesn't matter. That just adds a little bit of like depth to the flavor. Looking like we're pretty good with the liquid. We might need a little bit more, but I have water on the side just in case. Water's free. Just throw it out if you don't need it. So now, a lot of people don't know that when you add oil and you're mixing things, it's a thickener. Like hummus. This is a thickener for hummus. This is a thickener for any kind of dressing. Even like French dressings, this is a thickener. Italian, you have the ingredients in there and you're blending it, and then you slowly pour it in there. Looking like we're good, so we might not even need any.
But you wouldn't add it before you're blending because you need to get a sense of...
I would not add it before. Okay. If you don't have a slip mat, you can oil the bottom of the trays and stuff like that as much as you want because it will go into the soup. I do have to get down here a little bit. Right here.
Now, if they don't have a slip mat, could they use just aluminum foil?
I would use parchment paper. Basically, the only reason I would use foil is for potatoes, right, like directly covering something, even then I would put a piece of parchment in between. Or I suggest getting an immersion blender. It's so easy to do things, even like froth for coffee, just boom. I'm gonna start nice and low. The gauge is back here on 1. And you can see, you can hear how strong it is already. These are pretty good, so I'm gonna jack it up to like 5. And it looks like I've done this a couple times. So you probably don't even need any water. But I would go up and down like this. A lot of people just go straight up and down like that. So, like this. You see a big carrot on top, just go right on top of it. Blend it like that. You see some big chunks over here. And then at the end, when everything's a little bit more smooth, you always taste. Taste, taste, taste. Wipe it off with your towel. Oh, that's delicious.
So that was blending up all of the mirepoix that you made before. So the carrots, the onions, the celery, all blended up in there along with the butternut squash. And it seems like getting something like an immersion blender is a whole lot more practical and safe than having to transfer the heated items into a blender
Yes.
and back and forth, back and forth.
And a lot
Not
of
to
times,
mention the cleanup.
right, and a lot of times I was just gonna say, you have to clean this, you have to clean this, you have to clean this. Sometimes these don't fit in the dishwasher, so you have to hand clean them. This, all you have to do is this.
Lifesaver.
And then throw that in the dishwasher. Done.
Now, is it a preference in terms of consistency when you know you might need oil for it?
Well, I would say yeah. This is barely pourable right now, so I'm gonna add a little water, I think.
Okay.
But
Yeah, it looks kind of a little bit thick. And the olive oil is a great source of healthy fats, so an excellent way to add into already what you've got, you know, a bunch of vegetables in there, so a nice way for people to easily get the four different types of vegetables in there.
obviously you don't want to add too much, right? Because you can't take it away.
So it is little bits at a time.
So here we got our finished product. I think I toasted maybe a little bit of this too much, but I don't think anybody's complaining over here. But literally, all we have to do is go like this, and we got our finished product right here. I do like to, where did my container go? I do like to store it in containers like this. These are called zip tops. This is a perfect portion, so you just pour it in there. Actually, pour it in there, let it cool down first. Pour it in there, boom, throw it in the freezer, and then now you got a to-go soup. All you have to do is either, I think these are microwave safe. They are microwave safe, or if they're bouncing, you could just pour it into a new container very easily, right? These things are awesome. They come in sandwich bags, like our sandwich boxes, little thin ones. They come in snack packs that are like lower and wider. I love these things. You can actually keep these in here too. But this one's a little, also this one's a little dark. I like to finish it with a little cream on top, or put cream, or mix it in, and then
You can put on
sour cream or
plain Greek yogurt is a great substitution for sour cream, because then you're giving yourself some extra calcium and you're giving yourself a little bit of a punch of a protein in there, along with the pepitas. Those give a nice little punch of protein as well, as well as the healthy fat.
yeah, and I like the idea. It adds a little tart, a little tang to it.
Absolutely, and I mean, you've got here something that is nutrient dense, not high in calories, incredibly healthy, a comfort food, and you can change it up if
And you
don't
can
put
make
the
it
squash.
vegan. You can make it vegan. I use chicken broth, but if you used veggie broth, I believe I didn't. Oh, I added a little butter, but you can not add the butter. So there you go. I think it's great. For 3 pounds of squash is a lot. They sell at HealthTeam. It's 32 ounces, which is 2 pounds. I would just buy 1 box of that for one of these recipes.
And like we said at the beginning, if you wanted to change it up, when Rocky had it displayed, he had items where he was doing the mirepoix. You don't have to use squash if you're not a butternut squash fan. You could use that base and you could add tomatoes, other squashes. It makes for an incredibly flavorful base for soups just in general before you even add the squash.
Enjoy.
Thank you.